Hi, and welcome to the Valentine's Day edition of Herald-Standard.com's Penguin Shootout. I'm your host, Rob Burchianti. With me, as usual, Herald-Standard.com sports writer Derek Day. And the Penguins were riding a winning streak last time we were on the air, and they extended one extra game, and then I think it was, at 7 or 8? And they finally lost, and but since then they've gone 4-2-1 since we've last talked. And they're 12-2-1 since the 6-game losing streak had everybody in almost a panic. So they've really turned it around. In the standings, they're third in the Atlantic Division. Actually, they're tied for second with Philadelphia. And overall, they're fifth or tied for fourth with Philadelphia in the conference standings. So they're in good position right now for playoffs. If they can keep playing the way they are, they can make a run to get another spot higher or whatever. Right now they'd be playing the Flyers in the first round, I believe. Is that right?
Should be.
Yeah. So
4 versus 5.
That would be real interesting.
It's a long way to go.
Yeah. There's still many games to play. But anyhow, the Penguins did. They beat the Maple Leafs 5-0 in a shootout with a shootout victory. And then their streak finally came to an end, 1-0 loss at Toronto to the Maple Leafs. They came right back with a very good 2-1 victory over a good Bruins team. Then they had an off game against the Devils.
Way off
in New Jersey, 5-2. And then they had a tough shootout loss to the Canadiens, and they lost that 3-2 in the shootout. Then they came back with a couple games in a row that they won, and when they fell down 2-0 both games, and they came back and beat the Winnipeg Jets 8-5 and the Tampa Bay Lightning 4-2. So that's where we sit right now. And 12-2-1 since that losing streak. What's been the keys to the turnaround? We know it's been one constant's been here.
It's easily Malkin's been just taking the scoring race into a stranglehold. Him and James Neal has been a very good and supporting role, scoring goals at a torrid pace as well. With, of course, Malkin well on his way to becoming a legitimate contender for the MVP award, as well as a scoring title. Him, along with Chris Letang, coming back from injury, he's producing and even garnering some Norris Trophy candidate talk as well.
Which is pretty impressive with all the games he's missed. Yeah,
considering he's missed. While Malkin didn't have a very good start there at the beginning of the year either, he'd missed some time as well. So both of those players missed some games, but they're still right there at the top of the heap and at their respective positions.
Yeah, Malkin has missed 7 games, and still he's leading the league with 69 points, 7 ahead of Steven Stamkos and Claude Giroux. And Letang, of course, missed 23 games with a concussion, and he's come back strong too. And
Stamkos you hardly heard about him at all. He was a non-factor in that 4-2 win earlier in the week, and it just goes to show how good that defensive pairing has done. I believe Letang and Orpik were signed to shadow him for most of the game. So
and he was on a point streak too. I think Stamkos 6 or 7 in a row or something like that going into that game. The Penguins did hit that little wall, and they were I guess it was 1-2, and they had an overtime loss, shootout loss. So they had a little lull, and then it looked like they were starting to stumble. And then there's 2 games in a row where they fell behind 2-0. They were back-to-back games, Saturday, Sunday at home. And the first one was against Winnipeg. They fall behind 2-0, and you hate to do that right away, and the game turns into a big free-for-all. Dustin Jeffrey scores, Neal scores, and they tie it 2-2 by the end of the first period. Then they rebound, and Kunitz gets a power play goal. Chris Letang with another goal. So they take control 4-2. Then Winnipeg scores before the second period is over. Then Malkin comes back and scores. So it's 5-3 going into the third period. And the third period was just kept it going. Dustin Byfuglien scores, make it 5-4. To put Winnipeg within 1, and Richard Park scores. I believe that was his 100th goal, or
I think it was some kind of milestone.
Yeah, a milestone goal for him. And then Jordan Staal scores, and it's 7-4. You think they have control. Winnipeg scores again to make it 7-5. Then Letang scores to make it 8-5. It was just a free-for-all, exciting up and down game. And Fleury actually didn't play that badly for an 8-5 game. And they talked about they can't fall behind 2-0. They can't fall. And then the next day, Tampa Bay comes to town, and Steve Downey scores 2 goals, 11 seconds apart in the first period, and they're down 2-0 again. But then again, Malkin comes back and scores before the period's over, and then in the second period, Chris Kunitz, Chris Letang, and then Malkin on a nice tip-in on a pass from Kunitz scores. So they take a 4-2 lead and hold on from there. I think it was Brent Johnson. One interesting note, too, in those 2 games, Fleury had an assist on Saturday, and then Brent Johnson played in goal on Sunday, played fairly well, stopped 20 of 22 shots, I believe, and he had an assist too, so both of them had assists. Those 2 games were pretty key because they were kind of stumbling there, and they got them back on track.
Yeah, good to see Johnson kind of pick up the W. He'd been kind of struggling as late. Fleury had come in the past couple times. Johnson started, and Fleury kind of would have to come in and right the ship as best he could, but. As for that New Jersey game, it just seemed kind of... With New Jersey, it's either the Penguins dominate them or they just can't do or powerless against them. It's either if they can chase Brodeur within the first 10 minutes or so, they can have a field day and have a good game against New Jersey. But if they don't, they get into that. If New Jersey gets a lead, they've been that way ever since Brodeur came into the league with that defensive first system. If New Jersey gets a 1-goal lead, you're in trouble. 2 goals, forget about it. Because it's fitting with Brodeur, the Hall of Famer to be that he is.
He still's got some stuff left in the tank.
Yeah, and then you wonder, Montreal, tough game up there. Oh, they were going for the. I found this hard to believe. If they lost that game up there, I got a point out of it. That was good to get that. But if they had won that game, it would have been the first time in franchise history that they would have swept the Canadians in the season series, which
I didn't hear that.
Saying something considering that was the first game they ever played when the Penguins existed. It was against Montreal at the Civic Arena. So as good as Montreal had been, you think last decade or so not so good, but you thought surely the Penguins would have swept them some point in their existence, but they still have yet to do it.
Yeah, that was a tough shootout too, because Fleury made a couple nice saves, but I think they beat him 3 times in that shootout, which is uncharacteristic for Fleury. And the New Jersey game clearly was the worst one of the streak right there, as you pointed out. Now, looking stat-wise, I think we pointed out Malkin leads the league with 69 points. Looking Penguins-wise at the points. James Neal's second with 55 points, and he's 9th in the league with that. And Chris Kunitz has 40 points. He's 3rd on the team. Goals, Malkin has passed up Neal. He has 32 goals. Neal has 29. Chris Kunitz and Jordan Staal both have 16 or 3rd on the team. Plus minus, Evgeny Malkin now leads the team with a plus 11. Pascal Dupuis a plus 10. Neal leads in penalty minutes with 64, and he also leads in power play goals with 13.
He's such a goon.
And then Malkin has 8 power play goals. Malkin's second in goals behind Stamkos. He has 32. Stamkos has 37. He's 7th in assists. His 37 puts him 9 behind Sedin. He has 7 game-winning goals. That puts him tied for 4th. He just keeps excelling and selling. He keeps going up the charts quicker and quicker. Anyhow, even though this team looks set right now, and of course Crosby is still out, the trade deadline's approaching. I guess it's February 27th. And what do you see the Penguins thinking about? Is there any moves or anything they might be looking at to shore up, or what do you think they're...
Well, as it has been the case all year, the big question mark is Crosby. If he gets back, great. If not, it kind of puts the team in a bind as to what to do. But kind of an interesting note that I kind of doubt. Pretty sure Crosby will return some point this year, maybe with 10, 15 games left. But one theory out there was put him on long-term IR and injured reserve until the end of the year. That frees up the cap space. So if you wanted to bring someone in in the trade deadline, you could, and then once the playoffs start, you can bring Crosby back without the salary cap penalty. I mean, there is no salary cap in the playoffs. Anyone on your roster can play. So that's one interesting thing to think about, but I don't think anyone wants Crosby to come into the playoffs cold.
Yeah,
as much time as he's had off. But it's just one thing floating around out there. But nevertheless, there are some players out there, some being talked about, Pittsburgh has an interest in. Others, Penguins current on the roster, who's going to go. Eric Tangrady's been one. Ben Lovejoy. Cal O'Reilly's been thrown out there because you kind of wonder why was he brought in. Obviously not a big time scoring threat there.
Yeah, he was the guy picked up on waivers, right?
Yeah, they claimed him from Nashville in the past week. But Paul Martin hasn't had that great of a year, and he's got a $5 million salary. A lot of fans are clamoring for him to be shipped out, but I don't think anybody will take on that salary. But if the Penguins make some kind of a move, it would have to be something almost with the Crosby situation in limbo. They're up against the cap. The Penguins don't have much room. They need to leave a little bit of a cushion for call-ups from Wilkes-Barre to cover that salary. But like I said, unless they can find someone to unload the salary, which is unlikely, and I don't think Shearer will mess too much. GM Ray Shearer would mess too much with this roster, considering Crosby appears to be coming back shortly. Aaron Ashton has been skating as well. He, as a side note, he may return as early as Saturday. But some of the names being thrown out there, bring in Carolina forward Tuomo Ruutu. He has 30 points in 57 games. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent, so he'll be what they call a rental player, meaning you have him the rest of the year, and then he'll be a free agent. But if the team Carolina hopes to re-sign him, but if they can't, by the trade deadline, more likely ship him out, because why, if you're going to lose him, why not get something in return at the deadline instead of losing him at the end of the year for nothing? And Carolina's on the outside looking in right now from the playoffs, so they might be considered one of the sellers. As far as other names Penguins might be bringing in, Hal Gill's been tossed out there, the former defenseman.
Yep, Hal Gill.
Steve Downey as one, maybe linked as a bruising winger, possibly. And Alice Hamsky, Edmonton forward, he has 24 points on the year, not playing in Edmonton. Some of these player stats aren't that great because they're playing where they're playing.
Right.
Hemsky, site for one, as well as some of the bigger names that might be available. Dominic Moore's been tossed around too. He's former Penguin as well as Montreal forward Andre Kostitsyn. He has 24 points thus far, and will also be a free agent at the end of the year. But as far as the NHL goes, overall, the big names floating around out there right now are both come from Columbus. Rick Nash, he's been a 40 goal scorer twice in his career.
Yeah.
But right now he only has 54 points or 59 points. There's a minus 22. But Columbus is awful. They have to factor in that. They're 9 points behind the next worst team in the league. They only have 40 points. Jeff Carter's another one being thrown out there. So Columbus might be sellers in this upcoming trade deadline. It's interesting to see what happens. Some of the other sellers, like I said before, Carolina, Edmonton, all three of those teams are over 8 points out of the playoff spot currently. So look for them to kind of pack it in, probably be selling, trying to tear down and blow it up, restart, rebuild. Everybody else is kind of still in the hunt, so it kind of makes it cloudy who's going to be doing what.
Yeah, it might clear up in the next couple of weeks, I guess.
One thing of note is the Penguin defensemen are in demand all across the league, and the Penguins are deep at defensemen, so they might be able to move somebody and maybe get something. Risher has pulled off some unbelievable stuff before.
Right.
He might do it again, so we'll see what he has in store.
Wouldn't put it past him to pull off some kind of a deal, but this team does look solid the way they are. Upcoming schedule, is there anything else you wanted to add trade-wise? Or
just the only factor that Stahl's back now, so that helps a lot.
Yes.
First game back, he had a goal and an assist.
Yeah, Jordan Stahl always seems to be underrated. Upcoming next week, we're going to have the Penguins. They're going to host the Anaheim Ducks Wednesday, which is actually when we're filming this, the day after Thanksgiving, or after Valentine's Day. Then they go to Philly, to Buffalo, come home and face the Rangers, the Lightning, and the Blue Jackets. And we'll talk about that group of games next time we see you on Herald-Standard.com's Penguin Shootout.
Really? Pink? You get it? You serious?
That's my daughter Brooks and my wife Karen's idea. What are you going to do?
#1 fan, right?
Valentine's Day.